Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in again. This is Tim with the University of Vinyl. If you're new to my channel and you possibly have just stumbled across this and you like what you see, please consider subscribing and please like the video. It will help my channel grow a little bit faster, so thank you very much. Today I want to talk about another video about Who's Next, that fantastic album that of course was the product, or it was derived from Pete Townshend's bigger idea called Lifehouse that really never came to fruition. There's been some retrospective pieces concerning Lifehouse, and over the years there's been drips and drabs of songs that were originally intended for Lifehouse that came out on various comps, and also the first Pete Townshend solo album. There was a good version, although it was edited down, of Pure and Easy, the opening track on that Pete Townshend solo album. That, of course, was Who Came First. A really nice record if you haven't heard this before. It was issued in 1972. It was cut by Doug Sachs. It has really good sound on it, and it came with a little poster inside. Of course, there is Mayor Baba, the spiritual figure for Pete Townshend. Anyway, that's Who Came First. Now, about a year ago, I put out a pretty detailed, I think it was about a 30-minute video. I kicked off a new series that I did or started at the time called The Quest. The Quest is all about finding the best sounding pressings of an album that you love, and I decided to focus on Who's Next. I'm going to leave a link up below to that video because what I'm going to talk about today is really kind of a continuation and an update that I promised people that I would do, because there was a retrospective new release from The Who that Pete Townshend oversaw, and it came in a variety of packages. It was released, I think, in August, and that record, the one that I purchased is, well, here it is. So very familiar, right? If you look over here, I'm going to talk about a couple other pressings, but there's the cover of the new release, and I opted for the 3 LP version, which was Who's Next, a proper album that was remastered, and I have the full speed remastered copy in this package. This is called Pete Townshend's Lifehouse Demos 1970-1971, a 3-record set that includes the original album remastered at full speed by John Astley, cut by Miles Scholl, and then interestingly enough, the demos are fantastic. So these are the Lifehouse demos, and we got some notations here and notes from Pete, pictures of kind of the running order. That looks like it was a tape box. Famously, Pete Townshend is known, I love that photo there. Pete Townshend is known for his very detailed, fleshed out, ready to release demos. All that was missing on those demos from Pete was, of course, the incredible musicianship of John Entwistle and Keith Moon, of course, later Kenny Jones. Pete is constantly demoing material, and he is on record as saying that his demos for Lifehouse and what became Who's Next, what he thinks those are the best demos he's ever done in his lifetime, in his career. Famously, he had a home studio set up at his home in outside of London at the time. It was called Eel Pie Studios, And the third record, the third LP, the first LP in the package, of course, is the Who's Next proper album, and this was issued in a replica of the original Headhunters sleeve. These are hard to find. They came with the very, very early issues from Track Records in the UK in 1971. So I have good news and bad news for everyone. I'm delighted with these 2 extra LPs of the demos, especially the lead-off track, which is the full unedited version of Pure and Easy. It is over 8 minutes long. It is a delight to listen to, all the way down from the Leslie organ riffs that Pete is adding to this song, all the way down to the hand claps at the end. If you know that song, you love it. Pure and Easy is a famous missing Who track that I don't know why it wasn't on Who's Next, to be honest. And then, I'm skipping around here, but Pure and Easy appeared on the 1972 Townsend Who Came First album as well. But we got an edited version, only about 5 minutes of that glorious song. So with this new package, we have a full 8-minute version of Pure and Easy. The bad news is I'm going to update you now on what I talked about a year ago. So let's look at some of the copies I have. I have a 1971 Doug Sax cut, a W2 in the Dead Wax. And it was on that beautiful Decca label. This record, the Doug Sax cut, is legendary. I recently I watched Michael Fremer's video, and he was doing a recap on this as well. And he thinks the early Decca records are trash as far as sound is concerned. He thinks that there's no mid-range. He thinks that they're washed out and that there's sloppy bass response. I don't think Mr. Fremer had a Doug Sax cut. He didn't go into a ton of detail talking about which early Decca pressing he had. So I'm sorry, but there is over a 100-page thread that I referenced in that other video all about Who's Next. And there are people on the Hoffman forums who swear by the Doug Sax cut. And I know that PB Thal is a huge fan of the Doug Sax early cut as well. So W2, an amazing pressing. And I have a VG Plus copy of that. Now, I also have, that I've found in the last year or so, another Doug Sax cut on Decca. This is a W-1. So, in theory, that's an earlier issue than the W2, as far as stampers are concerned. There's the Decca as well. The only problem I have here is I have a little bit of a surface noise, but nothing that is going to stop me from enjoying this record. The W2 is fantastic. Here's the thing with Who's Next and these early Decca pressings. I usually can find one once or twice a month. I'll stumble across them in my comings and goings to local record shops. And they're usually priced between $10 and $15. If you find a W1 or a W2, pick it up, especially if it's VG plus or above. Even if it's VG and you see some noticeable marks, a lot of times those marks are not feelable. They're not noticeable from your tracking from your needle. You're going to be in good condition, good shape. I talked all about these Doug Sax cuts. They are legendary. I'm repeating myself. They are dynamic. If you put on Baba O'Reilly, that opening piano stanza, there's glorious kind of natural decay to those piano notes, and it's fully present. various songs with Keith Moon. His propulsive drumming drives this record. And especially with the Doug sax cuts, there is a really nice tight bass response on all those musical bass lines that John Entwistle is doing throughout the album. And glorious mid-range, plenty of high range that's not washed out. You can hear that shimmering cymbal ride from Keith Moon in various songs. You can hear the tambourine on Bargain without a problem. It's a glorious listen, and it was very, very early days. The tapes were fresh. Now, probably my favorite pressing right now is an early copy of the Track Records UK early first pressings, okay? I did not get a Headhunters. I got a plain UK bag sleeve here. And let's take a look at that track record. Glorious, shimmer, shine, glossy, no marks. This thing is pretty much near mint. I found it on eBay for, I think, under $30. And really, really pleased with this purchase. The interesting thing about this particular pressing is I have an A1 side with the Doug sax etched, the same nomenclature, dead wax information that is on the US pressings, the early Decca pressings. But on side 2, which is ending in B3, I've got Dennis Blackham as the mastering engineer, going by his nickname of Bilbo, Bilbo. This is a glorious listen. You get the kind of best of both worlds. You get silent, higher quality vinyl out of the UK at that point in time. I've got the Doug sax mastering on side 1, and I have Blackham's mastering on side 2, which is a fresh cut from those master tapes that were available at the time. Simply amazing. So that's the Track record pressing. I will talk to you, I'll just mention, I also have, I think this was a 2003 Music on Vinyl, which is a digital cut. Came on that red Polydor label. It's absolutely no slouch. It's very dynamic. There is a little bit of distortion in Daltrey's voice in a couple spots that I talked about in depth in my first video. But if you find a Music on Vinyl pressing at the right price, and you can't find clean copies of those early, either the Decca or the Track, by all means pick up the Music on Vinyl. I've never heard the Classic Records pressing, and I've never heard the MCA Heavy Vinyl mastered by Kevin Gray. Apparently both of those are formidable listening experiences, although they are both getting up there in price. One other thing about the early Track, you can tell it's an early, it has the red Polydor there in the bottom right-hand corner of the back cover of the sleeve. The last thing I'll mention is this 3-record set was, I believe, $89. I purchased it directly from the Who's web store. It took forever to get here. There is the hype sticker. You can see that they went with kind of a weird hybrid package on this thing. Yeah, it's a gatefold, but we've got 3 records stuffed into it. The last thing I'll mention about this package is I think it's pretty cool. I love these sleeves that they provided, okay? This is a replicate of the early Headhunters sleeve for the original album. And then we get all of these interesting notes from Pete Townsend about his demos for Lifehouse. A little blurb about every track. And I don't know what it is, but these two Lifehouse demo records, they were the original acetates, or there's supposed to be replications of those acetates. Both of those records sound amazing. I have fully dynamic sound, a really nice, gorgeous soundstage. Separation of instruments is there. Stereo imaging is fantastic. But then when I put on the original album that's been remastered, and also I need to mention Jamie Howarth from the Plangent Process was involved in this release as well. The Plangent Process is a digital tape restoration process that he pioneered, and it's been used to great effect on many releases, especially a lot of the archival Grateful Dead records. And those sound absolutely amazing. The difference there is a lot of those were mastered and cut by Chris Bellman, who did the Who's Next Classic Records cut. Chris Bellman, one of my favorite mastering engineers. I don't know what's up with John Astley and the Miles Scholl combination here, but they've done kind of a disservice. This is a missed opportunity. I mean, this was supposed to be the 50th big anniversary of Who's Next. I wish Pete Townsend and Who management would have put their heads together and maybe thought a little bit more outside of the box. I know that Townsend has a relationship with John Astley. He's a brother-in-law or something like that. But man, missed opportunity. That main record sounds veiled. There's not a lot of punch. There's not a lot of life there. And I can put on a record from 50 years ago that I found in the wild or picked up on eBay, and it blows that pressing out of the water. It's like night and day, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm not holding anything back. I'm disappointed. And for $89 for this package, I do like these sleeves, but why are you putting these really nicely pressed records, by the way? They were pressed at GZ Media, and GZ did a good job this time. There's nothing wrong. They're flat. They're centered well. But these are very, very shiny sleeves, okay? And I need to now put these all in anti-static protective rice paper sleeves. For God's sake, for a archival special deluxe release package like this, put these fucking records in an archival audiophile sleeve that befits an audiophile release. Please, please, please. Rant over. So this was a mixed bag for me. I love the extras. I love the 2 LPs with Pete's Lifehouse demos. They sound glorious, and they really get you into the mind of Pete and how talented that guy is as far as building a track from his mind. I mean, Pure and Easy. There are triple-tracked vocals from Pete on that song. It's absolutely amazing, and it's just fantastic song to listen to. But the main record, which is one of my favorite records of all time, is a letdown, a big letdown. I mean, I grew up with this thing. When I was a sophomore in high school, we had a bunch of guys that we hung out with in the neighborhood. And of course, there was someone who was 18. He was a senior, and he had this cool, groovy van. We would, on a weeknight, basically cruise the short strip of our town. Invariably, it would be Who's Next, a cassette in that van, followed up by maybe Def Leppard and some AC/DC. The sting of cold beer in a can, as you're gulping it because you only have about an hour before you have to be home. I distinctly remember those days. I remember being so excited on the Who's final tour as it was billed in 1982. I remember there was a VHS tape available from the Toronto concert. And I went out and rented that thing and eventually bought it, and watched that thing endlessly, and was watching for Townsend's Windmill and being enthralled with that. Those were the days, ladies and gentlemen, and that is the power of fantastic quality music that you love. It can bring you back in time, and Who's Next is one of those albums for me. Thanks, everybody. Take care.